Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be doing episode number 40 of I Build Your Teams, the series where I build my viewers' teams into the best teams possible for my team Unlimited and or competitive play based on how much MT they have and what their squad is currently looking like. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 6,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day. Channel has been growing like crazy recently, really having our best last month or two of YouTube that I have ever had, and I really do appreciate y'all a ton for all your recent support. But yeah, make sure you do subscribe if you haven't already. Help me push towards that mark. And yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into it. Let's start off with the first tune today, which comes in from my boy Hero. He's got Invincible Ben, Malik, Taco Fall, a solid bench, and then Lonzo as well thrown in here. Sold all his hero cards besides Wade, and this was left. And so I'm assuming he sold a decent amount of cards, honestly, because so yeah, we'll say he's probably getting close to, I don't know, so we'll say 750k MT. I think that's a good estimate for probably how much MT he may have left. So one thing I will say, I would play Lonzo over Wade personally. If I was you, I would throw Lonzo in at the backup PG and I would sell Wade. I think that'd be a good way to free up some MT. And I think one card or a couple cards you should be looking to pick up at the small forward and power forward position if you're trying to go budget and hold on to MT for the next couple weeks. I think two guys that are really good options are one would be Dark Matter Thought Maker. I think he's an elite level top 3 small forward in the game for sure. Really good card. Throw him in at that small forward position. And then at the power forward position, you could go with a guy like Mobamba, another cheap card. Really good power forward option. Great option for sure there. Those two guys are going to cost you a combined 150,000 MT max, and it's going to give you a super solid setup for your small forward and power forward position. I personally might consider selling Ben Simmons and replacing him with a guy like Hero Michael Jordan. You may have sold him, or I'm not Hero MJ, but point guard MJ, or you could pick up Hero MJ at the 2. I think getting MJ in this lineup somewhere in your starting lineup is going to help you out a lot. I think if you sell Ben and replace him with MJ, it's going to free up a ton of MT for you to play with as well. So that's one other thing to consider. But definitely pick up Thon and Bamba to help out your squad and keep MT for future weeks. Next team comes in from Hobbs. He's got 265k. He's got MJ, Levine, RJ, Malik Sealy, Fernando, Poku, Kareem, Mobamba, Manute, and Hakeem. Really do like this squad a lot as well. I like that you got MJ in the squad. I feel like next gen wise, it'd be good to have Luka in the squad somewhere. I'm not exactly sure that you have enough MT right now to get yourself Luka though. And I think one guy that you might want to consider adding to the squad is actually selling Hakeem and picking up Yao Ming. Hakeem's about 100,000 MT. Yao's going to be 200,000, maybe even a little bit less. I think you could pick up Yao, sell Hakeem, and still have at least 150,000 MT left, which you can save, and that'll give you 2 giant centers, which I think is really useful to have. Having 2 of the 3 7-6 7-7 centers in Taco, Manute, and Yao, having 2 of those 3 guys is really something that I think is pretty crucial no matter where your squad is looking right now, because I just think that that's a very important thing to have, as those giant centers to counter other people and make mashing harder, things like that, and just give you a better squad. So I think that's your biggest need, is going to be picking up one of those centers and selling Hakeem. And then after that, I would save some MT and see if you could potentially add Luka at some point. If you want to go temporarily, get some temporary upgrades, you could go DeMar DeRozan at the 2 instead of Richard Jefferson. That'd be a big upgrade there. And then you could go Lonzo Ball or Danny Granger instead of Zach LaVine as well off the bench. So I think a couple moves like that might help you out as well, but definitely pick up Yao and then consider guys like DeMar, Lonzo, and Danny Granger. Next team today comes in from Lance. He's got 20k MT, just recently started playing my team. It's his first 2K, and I like this type of squad because this is the type of squad that we can work on, but it's also got a solid basis to it. You're doing a good job for your first 2K building yourself a squad, especially having only played for a couple months now. So Wade, Rudy Gay, Sean Kemp, Hakeem, KP, Denny, Chris Mullen, Alexis Pokushevsky, Mobamba, and D-Rob. So definitely a solid squad. It can be improved, though, I will say that. Even with only 20,000 MT, I think you can free up some MT in certain ways and improve your squad all the way around. The first thing that I am going to recommend that you do is sell Wade and replace him with a guy like Lonzo Ball or a guy like Danny Granger. Really, whichever one is cheaper, I would pick one of the 2, but I think that's going to be an upgrade over Wade. It's just going to give you more size, more defense, and a little bit more versatility in your lineup. I think that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is sell KP and replace him with Manute Bol. Manute Bol is completely free. Knock out that challenge. Get yourself Manute on your squad. You're really not going to regret it. That's a big upgrade that you can make that will also save you MT by selling KP. At that point, I'd say you're probably going to be looking at closer to around the 75 to 80,000 MT range, with which I would definitely, for one, I would sell Denny and I would replace him with Yakuba Diawara. Diawara is like still less than 10,000 MT, 5, 6, 7,000 MT, and he's much better than Denny. Gives you more versatility in terms of playmaking, and just a better all-around card in terms of his badges and stats and everything. That's going to be one upgrade that you're not going to regret for sure there. And then at that point, I think your backcourt's going to be pretty solid with a Lonzo or Granger, Rudy Gay, Yakuba, and Mullen. I think that's going to give you a solid backcourt. Kemp and Poku for the time being, definitely not bad at the small forward positions. I think Hakeem is good at power forward, and you're going to have Manute at center, so I like that a lot. Definitely one thing I would also do, though, is I would sell D-Rob, move Bobamba to the backup 5, and then use some of that 75,000 MT to pick up another power forward. There are a couple budget power forwards you could go with. One guy I might recommend would be a guy like Miles Turner. He's 30,000 MT, maybe even a little bit cheaper. Very, very solid card. I think you could slide him in there at that power forward position, have Mobamba at the backup 5, and at that point, your team's going to be looking super solid. Say you got Danny Granger, Rudy Gay, Sean Kemp, Hakeem, and Manute, and then Yakuba, Mullen, Poku, Miles Turner, and Mobamba. I like that squad a lot, and you're still going to have around the amount of MT, if not a little more than you have right now. Next team today comes in from Brandon. He's going to have 5.4 mil once Hero Giannis sells. Willing to replace basically anybody except for a Warriors player. Love the streams and vids. Okay. So I respect the Warriors fan. Congrats on the championship. I definitely like it. And your centers are great. I like that a lot. You got Iggy off the end of their bench. Okay, so my thing, excuse me, my thing with this type of team, I see that you got Invincible Steph, and this is the free Invincible Steph from completing the challenges, so props to you for that. You got Wiggins as well, Draymond Green. If you want to run these guys, though, I do think it will benefit you to run one of these guys to shooting a small forward position, and then one of these guys at the backup small forward, or even to run Wiggins, for example, maybe at the backup shooting guard, and then Draymond at the small forward. That's actually probably the position that I would lean. If you want to run these Warriors guys, slide Draymond to the small forward, slide Wiggins to the backup shooting guard. Curry's fine there. You have Iggy and Lonzo, who are 2 tall PGs if you need them. Excuse me. And then that frees up this power forward position, and one guy who I think would be a great fill. I mean, you got 5.4 million MT. Just go get the best power forward in the game, Invincible David Robinson. I think he's the best power forward in the game. Go slide him in there at that power forward position. You will not regret it. It's going to be expensive, but you're still going to have, I mean, 4.8, 4.9 million MT. Like, you're still going to be totally set on MT. I think that's one thing that you could definitely upgrade right there. It just gives you more size. You still have that Warrior in the starting lineup, and then bring another one off the bench. But honestly, besides that, I think your squad's pretty solid. On next gen, if you could find a spot for Luka as well, even if you want to start Curry and you bring Luka off the bench at the backup PG, I think finding a spot for maybe a signature series or power within Luka, if you don't want to buy the Invincible, would be a good thing to do as well. And maybe DeMar DeRozan replacing Richard Jefferson, although I guess if you have Wiggins at the backup too, that's not going to work. But maybe find a spot for Luka, slide Wiggins to the backup 2, Draymond to the 3, and D-Rob here at the 4, and I think your squad's going to be looking super solid. Next team today comes in from my boy Anthony. He's got 500 KMTs. Taco has 50 hops. Bull has 60. I mean, this is borderline a perfect team. Besides one thing, I think we're not building the squad quite the way that you could be building the squad. And the way that I mean by that, I mean, you got Luka, who's 1.5 million MT, but he's not that good on current gen. For me personally, I think you sell Luka and you replace him with point guard Michael Jordan, who's a much better card on current and much less expensive. It's going to save you a lot of MT. All of a sudden, you're going to be looking at 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 mil MT and a better starting lineup. Next, I would add 2 shooting guards. Pippen and Anthony Edwards are solid cards, but I think you could use upgrades at those positions as well. Same thing with the backup point guard position. I think you can really sell Pippen, sell Ant. Sell Penny and replace Ant. I will say your 3 through 5 in your starting lineup and your bench is absolutely nuts. Really nothing to say there. But I think with the backcourt, we sell Luka, we sell Penny, we sell Pippen, and we replace Anthony Edwards. We go with a whole new backcourt. For example, Michael Jordan, Kawhi Leonard, I don't know, Danny Granger, and DeMar DeRozan. I think you get those 4 guys. Point guard MJ, Invincible Kawhi, Dark Matter Granger, and the Dark Matter DeRozan. I think you go with that as your backcourt. That's going to be a much better backcourt. I know not all those guys are Invincibles, but I think that's going to give you the better backcourt, and that's going to combo incredibly with your basically perfect 3 through 5 and going to give you an elite level team. Next team today comes in from Ant-Man. He's got 200,000 MT on Curry. He's got Lonzo, RJ, Wade and Sealy, Ferry and Rudy Gay, Nedelicki, Fernando Martin, Taco and Yao. Like what I'm seeing again with Taco and Yao combining together. I feel like those are 2 really good options that you can use that really do give you a lot of just a super solid squad in terms of those guys. I think those 2 centers is crucial, but I think your team besides that is pretty solid as well. With 200k, I again think you can sell Wade and replace him with a Danny Granger. I think having that upgrade in size would be nice. You can have Granger and Lonzo as your point guards, and then I think you pick one of Richard Jefferson, Malik Sealy, whoever you prefer, and you play them at the backup shooting guard position. You pick up DeMar DeRozan and start him at shooting guard, and that gives you that backcourt of maybe Granger, DeRozan, Lonzo, Sealy, for example. Small forward is solid. Danny Ferry, definitely not anything wrong with that, and then Rudy Gay as well. Definitely 2 super solid options. Same thing with your power forward position. I definitely don't dislike it. If you could find a way to add a little bit more size to your power forward position. I don't think that would hurt. For example, maybe you pick one of these two guys, Ferry and Rudy, play them as your backup small forward. Maybe you go Ferry at the backup small forward. You slide Fernando Martin to the starting small forward and pick up a guy like Mo Bamba to play the 4 alongside Nedelicki, so you have a little bit more size at your power forward position. I don't think that would hurt. For me personally, I might just sell Rudy, move Danny to the backup 3, Fernando to the starting 3, Bob to the backup 4, and then slide Mo Bamba in there. But once you make a couple upgrades like that, maybe Granger, DeMar, Mo Bamba, like the squad a lot, already a very good team. So I think those small upgrades might help. And then finally, we got a team coming in from Philip. He's got 776K, wants a primary ball handler at a shooting guard position. He's got Josh Giddey, who's not a bad primary ball handler in of itself, but Ant Edwards, KD, Sabonis, Taco, Boogie, John Isaac, Malik, Larry Johnson, and Roy Hibbert. I like this team a lot. I think you have a couple of flaws on the squad, and those flaws are, first of all, yes, that shooting guard position, and then the backup center. Go get yourself Manute Bol, complete his challenge, knock him out for that backup center. If you don't want to get him, go get Taco Fall. I'm sorry, not Taco Fall. Go get Yao Ming. Either way, get one of those two guys, slide them into that backup center. That's a big start to this team. At that point, you're still going to have a lot of MT left. I think you sell KD and replace him with either Juancho Hernan-Gomez or Thon Maker. One of those two guys. Juancho's going to be more expensive, obviously. Very expensive card, but he's an elite level small forward. Thon Maker's the cheaper option, but I just don't think Invincible KD is nearly worth his MT. So I think that's a pretty simple swap right there. That's actually going to upgrade your team and save you a ton of MT. At that point, you're going to be looking at closer to 1.2, 1.3 mil. And that's going to give you the flexibility to add a shooting guard who's a primary ball handler. I will say the one guy who's your best option is going to be Hero Michael Jordan. If you run a Josh Giddey, Hero MJ, Thon Maker, Sabonis, and then Taco, have a bench of, I mean, you could even upgrade Larry Johnson to Danny Granger, Malik Sealy, John Isaac, DeMar, and Yao. If that's your 10-man, you're literally going to have over $1 million MT if you build that 10-man, and your team is going to be looking really, really good across the board, every single position. Going to give you an elite level squad in my team. So hopefully I did help you out, some of y'all out with your teams. If you want to be involved in a future episode of I Build Your Teams, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link is in the description below. Be on the lookout for a tweet about this series on Friday nights, and drop your team under there for a chance to be involved in a future episode. But hopefully y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.